Huh? Is this all yours?
Okay, resuming. It's the next day, obviously, from yesterday. And I found where I left off in yesterday's email, but we ended up going, it's about an hour and a half drive to go to the next store to do the shop for all the kids. Holy, we loaded that truck up. I could feel the weight in the truck when we drove home. But then we got home and then we unloaded all in the shop. And then we went straight to organizing and busting it up because not every package is the same for each family because Sarah sees how many kids they got, how old they are, and then she'll get a hold of the moms, tell them what's going down, and then she wants to know if anybody has any allergies to any kind of foods or what they can or can't eat. So that's a lot of organizing, and we got a few done. as soon as we got back, we got a few done, and then we went straight to delivering food. And I went, first time I've gone. Some cute little kids, your heart just breaks for them. In a way, not really. I mean in a way, but I mean they have a roof over their head. They got a mom, and they're healthy. But to see such a precious little things, the excitement they had for food, that really took me back a little bit. It was like Christmas just showed up. It was amazing. But anyway, so where was I? So we managed to get 3 homes filled up with food for the festive season, and we have a whole pile more. I think we've got 1, 2, 3 times that, 3 times that, 3 times that to do today, and get these homes filled with food for this month. And one woman messaged Sarah right away afterwards, and she just said to her, "Thank you so much." And she says, "You do not understand the stress that has left me from this food being brought to my home for my 4 children and I." Wow. So there you go, you guys. We'll talk more about that in a minute. Let me carry on from that email from yesterday, okay, before we lose it. And I forgot to leave my heater on in here, and I tried to muffle the heaters right behind the camera, and I tried to muffle it out, but it's not that much of an annoying sound. Oh shit, I just lost my spot. Hold on. Hold on, you guys, hang with me. Alright, found it. Alright, here we go. This was because I heard frequent pacing at the tree line above my tent, and occasionally I saw a hand pressing and gliding across the top. I thought he either lost his balance or could not see where he was going. I wondered why he didn't use a flashlight. Each time a hand pressed or stroked the tent, I quietly said, "Yes, we're here. All's fine. Are you alright?" And never did I get a response. Meanwhile, the dogs kept slinking toward the foot of the tent. I was now awake and decided to focus my mind on the lost pup. I hoped it had not fallen victim and joined the death pile I imagined below. I could not picture any animal who would leave a large pile of meat to rot. Bears will gorge and mountain lions are finicky, so far as I knew. I hoped the pup was still alive, and I said prayers for his welfare. Knowing what animals think in pictures and holding a belief in the power of mental messages, I sent visualizations to the pup telling it to head down to the parked cars, come dawn, and then stay put. Early the next day, my husband woke us and said that he was going to head down with the heavier gear. He wanted to encourage the llamas to go further. When he returned to camp, he shared that there were developments at the trailhead. He said that it would be a big mess because 2 truckfuls of cattle had arrived and were released for grazing. That the pup was found, and some hikers who happened to carry a cell phone were now in touch with the dog's family. We had no success in going further with the llamas, turned tail, and at the same troublesome spot, the llamas again pitched a fit, leading to an injury for one of them. I think there was some residual smell, but it was not nearly the same stench. And as we headed home, I asked my husband why he kept walking above our tent, and he claimed he had not done so. He said he only burned wood other campers had left at the fire pit. I thought he had lost so much sleep he didn't remember. But his denial stuck with me. My husband now recalls little of this misadventure, and his sinus problems had spared him the awful smell. I draw from other stories confirmation about what the sounds and smell meant. Yet it seems unusual that any Sabe would be hanging around a well-traveled trail on a dry southern slope. Could it be that they had a premonition of the coming cattle drop? And when we returned to the trailhead, I noticed several lost dog notices, which had been posted over the past year. I wonder about the Sabe's relationship with dogs. Could a pup present a playful diversion, especially for the young? Would older dogs present more risk to the presence being revealed? Steve, here's where you may want to take a breather. Stay hydrated. Actually, I'm going to try to turn off that heater. Background sounds can drive me bonkers. The dog chewing on her morning bone, not so much, but that kind of sound. Give me a second. Let's see if we can turn it off. Sometimes it won't do it. Yes, did it. All right. Okay, doggy. Move over a bit there, you big goon. Excuse me. All right, there's my breather. I can't put her out in the shop because all the food's out there and it's cold out there and all the meat is everywhere in the boxes. And I first opened the shop door this morning. She's like, whoa, what's all this? I'm like, yeah, no. So I have to have her right in here with me this morning. I recently viewed a lecture given by the linguist Scott Nelson. He spent a career in the Navy decoding many languages. He purports on the basis of the Sierra sound recordings and his own experiences in camp with Ron Moorhead that these sounds follow the rules of a human language. I started wondering about where in the Sierras these sounds were heard. I thought, well, I spent 4 seasons in the Sierras. Maybe Sasquatch only stay in the most secluded spots. I guess I never witnessed anything. And, I kid you not, a voice in my head said, "Are you sure?" A series of memories emerged over the coming weeks in the absence of any framework of understanding at the time. It seems my brain elected to simply forget the parts that never made sense. I had worked seasonally for both the U.S. Forest Service and the National Park Service for over 13 years. The following happened back in the 80s during my 4th and last season in a general area of adjoining wilderness that spanned 2 agency administrations. I was assigned to a location several miles in by trail. A cabin was available for my use. It featured some luxuries I'd never had in the backcountry before. The reason for sharing details may make sense later on. This was a roomy, tall cabin surrounded by 20 to 40 foot. What? No, around. Sorry. This was a roomy, tall cabin around 20 by 40 feet. Skiers in the winter could sign up to stay overnight. There was an indoor composting toilet and a spring-fed water line fed by a manual pump to a sink. These provided extra privacy. The cabin was built into a slope with ground-level access on the south end. The north end was set over a partial basement, a full story above ground. There was a row of about 4 to 5 windows, each at least 6 foot tall by about 3 feet wide, spanning over around 20 feet or more width on the western wall of the cabin. From that wall, the ground sloped in 2 different directions. Facing westward, the trees were cut back maybe 30 yards downhill. Northward, the ground sloped toward a seasonal drainage outlining the lower edge of a high, flat-top mountain. The mountain could not be seen from most lower angles. The setting of the cabin and row of windows always reminded me of a chapel. After years worth of lantern and cook stove use, the windows were grimed with soot. I devoted a little time, several days, watching them inside and out. When standing outside, I had to use an extendable 12-foot ladder that I had fished out from basement storage to reach the entire window furthest to the north. I could barely reach the top of that window safely, and I used a stick to reach, as I didn't trust the ladder when fully extended. Being a bit under 5'9", I could, while standing on the ground, just curl my fingers over the sill of the lowest window toward the south. So the lowest sill stood about 7 feet from ground level, and the highest placed window sill was about 10 to 11 feet off the ground. Another woman ranger had spent a couple seasons at this post, and I'll call her Jo. She cautioned me to be sure to go explore the flat-top mountain to the north. There's no trail, but a general route was marked with cairns once on top. People were known to get lost up there. It was the site of a couple previous searches. She described a scramble northward from the cabin, and then once up top, she recommended I head to the east end of the long peninsula shape, where the route drops to a lower ridge. From the top elevation and down the mountain to the east, the terrain is mostly above tree line. I chose a day where the weather prediction was virtually the same as any other day. Possible clouds and thunderstorms in the afternoon. There was a steep scramble beyond forest and thick brush, leading up to some very loose scree, boulders, and then bedrock granite. The lower forest was a healthy stand of towering mixed species. Underground springs supported their growth. I paused at one giant fir and noticed beneath the low boughs a thick bed of needles. I lifted the boughs to see an evenly formed 5 to 6 foot platform several inches deep with a tuft of cinnamon-colored fur embedded there. I thought, I didn't know we had cinnamon-colored black bears here. I wonder how the bed could be so evenly flat. The feeling it gave me was a sense of secluded peace and appreciation for the animal that slept there. Bears don't do that. The climb took longer than expected. I reached the top. A dense cloud enveloped me, spitting drizzle, and later on, bracing sleet. The exposed granite was rife with channels, hollows, and randomly placed giant boulders, called erratics, that peppered the surface. I zigzagged around looking for rock cairns to save some time, but didn't find any. The fog grew so thick I often stared intently to see even 10 feet ahead. I had no way to judge the distance gained or yet to travel. While sweating profusely from effort, I also grew damper from the outside in. Eventually, I began to worry that I wouldn't make it out of that icy cloud and down from the mountaintop before nightfall. My thoughts were racing as I continued to push harder. My basic mistake was that I had only brought a day pack. Excuse me. As long as I got a lighter and a knife, I'm good. I began to veer toward the southern edge, thinking maybe I could find a quicker route down, but the formation was rounded like a partial dome. I repeatedly came to an impassable descent, and then had to climb back up. That sucks. Done that a few times. Hours later, the rain let up, and the clouds lifted enough to get a good look at a vertical band of granite spanning the midsection of the southern face, reminding me of the side of a ship. No go. I was feeling full of adrenaline. Not good. ABCs, always be calm. I knew I was too damp and cold to keep from getting hypothermic if I stayed out through the night. My remaining layers might not protect me from this possibility. I climbed up to a large hollow filled with ground-creeping juniper, many potholes and two tarns. At the top edge, I perched myself below a curved series of boulders, each as tall as a room, which made for a good windbreak. I said a fervent prayer asking God to be with me, including Jesus and any helping spirits, then studied my map long and hard. I peeled off my top layers to air out the lower ones, ate a quick snack, hydrated, and then peered through the boulders. And here's one part I later forgot. I could see around 200 to 300 yards away a figure who just seemed to show up suddenly. He walked in a straight path from west to east. I was positioned below him and at an angle toward the southeast, watching his forward motion. And when I say walked, I mean he booked. My first thought was, what the hell? What planet am I on? His head had an A shape, but I thought, okay, he's wearing a rain poncho and that's the top seam. He had abnormally high and wide shoulders. I thought maybe he was carrying an extra wide pad beneath the poncho. His face was shaded, and the orbits of his eyes almost looked like sunglasses, but not solidly dark. The clouds had lifted up to about 100 feet or so. The light was filtered and slightly backlit from the west. I stared as he made wide, vigorous, semicircular swings with each arm that extended with a pronounced flat hand extending forward. It was almost like a swim stroke, but held much lower. I started to make out a long fringe, a lip from behind that hung from his arms, and I thought, who takes a sweater poncho when backpacking? But then the puzzle of how a sweater poncho could be seen beneath the rain poncho came to mind. And the poncho looked gathered close to his torso, but seemed bundled, which made me wonder why he would wear it at all. I stared at his legs, and again I saw fringe. I was sure he was not wearing boots. Maybe he had on some unique moccasins. Parts of my brain were busy observing and questioning, while another part was trying to interpret the strange elements based on known reality. Cockching my gear, I decided to get over to his route, as he was clearly making ground. I had to pick my way out of the hollow by going down first. Once up to higher ground, this fellow was nowhere to be seen. When I got over to the north side, I realized just how far away he'd actually been, and I thought, just how big is this guy? And as I headed east, soon enough I realized I could not make myself move fast enough. How did he make it look so easy? There was too much clambering up and down, and I kept wondering how that guy had totally disappeared. I eventually decided to go with my intuition, which was strongly urging me to go back west and drop down north to an area which seemed promising from the map. I didn't want to try the route I'd climbed from the cabin, as it was much too steep and loose and was hard enough going up. Fortunately, the access spotted on the map proved to be a boulder field that was relatively easy clamber down. And there, I encountered not only an unmarked trail, but a whole outward bound group. I asked if they had yet encountered rain. Since they hadn't, I asked the guide if I might borrow a dry lair for a while as we walked together. I had to admit my folly, bury my pride and embarrassment, knowing the tables were turned from expectations and that I was the one who could use help. The guide was experienced and asked the right questions. They were soon going to set up camp, and he wondered how far I was planning to go. I was now on the opposite side of the mountain from where I needed to be, and we had a little daylight left. The upshot is that I spent the night with them, and they kindly offered up some extra gear. I was entirely grateful. I knew my chances were not good otherwise, and the cold night ahead confirmed my concern. Early the next morning, we parted ways, and as they dropped north, I skirted along the slope of the formation to the east. The high plateau had now dropped to a lower ridge above to my right. I planned the climb gradually to the far end of the ridge and then circled around its eastern tip. I repeatedly had a strong sensation that I was being watched from the rocky ridge behind and above me. I turned often to look a couple of times, stopping and studying for a few minutes, sure to see movement or a figure from above, and each time I paused I would feel a presence. But my concentration inevitably veered to some tall standing rock. It was a hard feeling to shake. At the apex of my route, I met a few people who had hiked up from the lake near my cabin on the south side. They had not been up on the ridge above. I patrolled the lake and returned to the cabin. Now mid-afternoon, I ate a good lunch, then I peeled off my sweaty clothes and gave them a wash. As I sponge bathed my body, I remember feeling very exposed. I never felt that way before in this cabin. I reasoned that no one could see into the darker interior from out in the sunlight, and if they could, they'd have to climb a tree 30 yards away and 20 feet up. I argued away the intuition. Now, later in the afternoon, I remember feeling unusually recharged and energetic, as though endorphins had flooded me. I judged that I had just given a good workout to my legs, but what about my upper body? So from a position in the middle of the cabin, I began a series of dance-type exercises facing south towards the door. Focusing on my movements, I heard a deep thunk at the ground level, causing the cabin to vibrate. Uh-oh. As I questioned, earthquake? I was startled to see a massive dark shape moving from the far corner of my peripheral vision. Like a deep shadow would emerge from the lower quarter of the northwestern window. To my far right, then wholly filled up half the frame of the middle windows, and reached at least 2/3 the height of the last window. The shape was huge, and it was all a blur. It was right outside the windows, and hurtled by so quickly I hadn't time to even move my head. As I stood several feet away, I hardly had time to think about what I had partially saw, and then there was a loud bang, bang, which seemed to hit the wall next to the door. Upon hearing the knocks, my ranger identity took hold. All that had just happened was way too fast to process, and I set aside the mysterious flying image. I called out, "Just a minute!" Seeing as I was wearing just a bra and shorts, I threw on my t-shirt, quickly went to the door, only to find no one was there. The loud bang seemed to mean someone needed help, or it might be someone I knew who was fooling with me. I really searched all around, then walked up to the lake about a quarter mile away. I returned and headed to the north side of the cabin to face the trees at the edge of the slope. I sensed that someone was hiding beyond the tree line, which defied my ability to explain, not to mention the huge flying mass that had preceded the knocks. It was all very confusing, a very confusing mystery. I recall later trying to pound on the wall to recreate the reverberation I'd heard, but I could not do so. I realized only using a hammer or a rock might dent the wall. The wall was perfectly fine as it was. The next day, the neighboring ranger came to check on me, and I'll refer to him as Granger. The day before, I had not been able to clearly transmit by radio during the morning check-in, and I didn't think to call when I returned to the cabin. He was perturbed that I'd been inadequately prepared for the trip up the mountain. He needed to count on me in all circumstances, and I asked if he had possibly arrived the day before and described the strange knocks. I can't recall if I described the dark mass flying by the windows. He was adamant that he had only started out that morning. In thinking back, I believe that he had a couple of reasons to feel perturbed. The next week, my boyfriend, now husband, arrived. We had been urged by Blank to cover her area while she was away for a time. Her district was a few passes over. We were invited to stay at her cabin if we wished. The main traffic there was at a lower elevation along a canyon, and the cabin was poised on a high ridge above a lush meadow, where hardly any hikers typically traveled. We had a great trip that was uneventful in a good way. And weeks later, Granger asked if we had stayed at Joe's cabin while we explored her district, and if we heard any strange noises at night. No, but what noises do you mean? I asked, and he said, knocks on the walls. Inside? No, outside. Like ghosts? And cryptically he said, something like that. He shared that Joe virtually never stayed overnight at the cabin and only used it to store supplies due to the frequent knocking. I was truly puzzled, but I now have a sense that he had the situation sized up. He had a lot of experience in his role, and he was a very serious guy. I do remember a couple more mysterious knocks at my own cabin. Never at night, but in a few weeks they came to a stop. There were at least no more flybys past the windows. I feel it's irresponsible to share specific locations despite the long separation of time. I wouldn't want people to feel fearful there, but mostly I do not want someone going up to that specific mountain to purposely search. Besides, what if someone gets lost in a thick layer of clouds? I want to emphasize that none of my experiences felt threatening. Shocking and mysterious, yes. I don't want to minimize anyone else's experience. If there are meanings of behavior I felt, they were curiosity, attempted communication, and self-proclamation. Maybe showing off? The Sabe are obviously keen observers. It'd be no surprise that they have different behavioral or cultural norms, but here's the most important thought I want to express. Twice in my life I've been stalked. I've faced clear malicious intentions and sensed the very real risk of being murdered by men. Please hear me. I do not exaggerate. All the details of those stories are not needed here. Suffice it to say that the first encounter at age 18 involved a serial rapist/murderer. I'll only add that on both occasions my prayers led to what I consider to have been miracle escapes. I know that our cultural norms only work so far. We as a species seem plagued by runaway aggression and fear, often beyond our abilities or desire to control. Why do some humans believe they can dominate others? Dunno. With so many abilities the Sabi appear to possess, they seem, at least from my perspective, to know how to communicate their power and protect their means of survival without crossing the line into excessive cruelty. Do they war? Do they torture? Do they commit genocide? Do they molest? Do they pollute? Do they keep enough armaments to destroy the planet many times over? So far, we have much more to learn about them. I've heard stories of dogs being killed by very efficient means. I'd be in shock if this happened to one of mine. It seems they mean to either silence the dogs or stop them from giving chase. I could be wrong, but I believe that from all we know from history, we are the more dangerous of the species. Maybe our numbers amplify the flaws. I say the above to simply remind people of a relative perspective. I know the behavior of one individual does not represent the norm, for an entire race or species. Steve really admired your stamina and willingness to stay locked on the subject. It seems the main struggle for any witness lies in how to readjust one's sense of reality. Our accepted world view is rocked forever. To be heard without a layer of judgment or denial gives comfort. You provided a great service through your platform. Thank you for your time and energy reading this book. I hope it's meaningful to others. Keep on with the search for truth. All right. I know what you might say. Quote, well, that was a mouthful, end quote. That was a pretty good one. Pretty good chunk of writing there. A lot of experiences. You got it across quite clearly. We appreciate that. It's a lot of time. Appreciate it very much. Very well written. Yeah, getting lost in the mountains, no joke. No joke at all, you know. Getting lost in the mountains sucks. It's the fog for me. That's the only thing that kind of freaks me out, makes me leery, is fog. I am on it with the fog. Or, if I know I'm more a susceptible possibility of being fogged in, I have what I need to live. That's for sure. But above tree line and getting stuck? Oh. I got some stories. I got some stories with that shit. I actually put a YouTube video online one time. About a time I got caught. Horses down in this valley, all the way up to the timber, over the top of the mountain, down the other side, shot a big ram with a guy, and the guy freaked out. I thought he was going to die. Storm came, on top of the mountain, no flashlight. Had to get past a belt of rock, cliff face halfway down the side. Absolute nightmare. And somebody was there helping me, I'll tell you what. But anyway, that's my story. Yeah. Why do they bang on the walls, huh? How come? Just simple human beings, too, right? I mean, so many people here what? Almost 100% of us probably are absolutely harmless. We're nothings. I'm thinking that we're harmless, and we are nothings in the eyes of these people. So why expend the energy? Why? You know what I mean? Why keep going back to that cabin and banging on the wall with that woman in there? What for? What are you getting out of it? What are you getting across to that person who doesn't mean anything to you and will never harm you in any way ever, and you probably know it? What are you doing? You know? What are you doing? And then the killing the dogs thing. One thing when you brought up the thing about the dogs being killed, because it's not that often compared to how many dogs we have running around, right? Is it them killing the dogs? So here's one thing I can't share, the possible clue of what's killing dogs when they do. In the natural world, when they can, when they're hungry, a cougar is going to kill a dog. Period. A cougar's going to kill a bear cub. A cougar's going to kill a wolf when they can to eat it. And do cats eat wolves? Hell yeah, they do. I got stories about that too. But one thing I can tell you with absolute confidence, 100% valid, is in the wild, wolves do not tolerate any canine. Period. End of story. No ands, ifs, or buts about it. A pack of wolves comes across a domestic dog, it's dead. End of story. If a pack of wolves comes across a member of another pack in the territory, it's dead. End of story. There is zero tolerance. And they are not very kind when it comes to how they kill them either, right? So, let's just say we had a large being, the odd time, cruising through our forests, hills, or backyards that may have a real dominant canine gene in their blood. What do you think they're going to do to a dog when they come across it? They're probably going to kill it. What is possibly big enough to pull a dog in half and throw it against the door of your cabin or house and have a real prominent canine, even wolf gene in its blood? You tell me, right? You tell me. Anyway, moving along. Moving along. I don't know if you can notice, but I have been a couple days. How can I describe this? I did like when they were doing the basement bathroom reno down there, and I was just standing everybody's way. I came here in the morning, came here in the evening, and I was getting 2 videos done a day, and preloaded them. So you may have figured that out by now. I don't even know what day it is right now, or when this one's gonna load up, but I'm gonna keep her going. I've got older and I got recents in today's folder to be cracked open. All right, here's a very popular photo. Steve. Hey, Steve, I recently watched some of your Sasquatch tours on YouTube, and I thought I'd ask your opinion on this photo. Sasquatch or mountain lion? This is my father's photo, and the story behind it is this. My father had a friend, or a neighbor or something, that worked as a janitor for the forestry office in the Salmon Arm area back in the 70s. Working night shift, he liked to look through files, snooping around. He found this file labeled Sasquatch. Inside was this photo, and he took it. He then showed it to my dad, and my dad had it duplicated. This has been in our house ever since and has been a topic from time to time. Sasquatch or mountain lion? I'm not really looking for the story to be told unless you want to. Just asking more for your professional input as a guide. Sasquatch or lion? I love the Blacktail app, by the way. Thanks for sharing your years of knowledge. Kyle from Nanaimo. Okay, Kyle, my man. At an absolute first glance, that is a cat. That is more than likely a snared cat. It looks like it's been in the snare for a while in the snow and was pulled out, so it's got its frozen coat in some spots, but that is 100% cat. White chin, shorter ears, probably a cougar. Probably cougar, possible lynx. Alright, there you go, you guys. You guys have probably all seen this. Purported Sasquatch is actually a snared cat. I can tell you right now, it's snared by the neck, the pattern of the neck and the frozen fur, and the ice and snow balls on its side around its ribs where the heat would have melted all that snow after it died. There you go. Mystery solved. Thanks for sending that in, man. I hope you have good luck hunting blacktails, buddy. Here we go. Here is another one. How you making out, Bubs? This is titled Bigfoot Experience. Hi, first of all, let me thank you for what you do, for your willingness to help and share. I grew up in a very abusive family. My grandfather was my only support. He taught me a thing or two about shooting and some about fishing. I really loved being with him, working with him on our big farm, and just wanting a father. My grandfather died when I was 13. I was in 8th grade and totally lost. In 1985, I was a sophomore in high school in Newburgh, Oregon. I hated school, by the way. I was invited to go hunting with my uncle and cousins outside of Wilhelmina, Oregon. We got to camp late, set up at dark 30, and settled in for a couple of hours before dawn. I remember waking up to something walking around our tent and not thinking much about it. I thought it was my uncle or cousins taking a piss. That is, until I looked. And we were all in the tent. I woke up my cousin and he said he could hear something as well. The sounds went away, so I went back to sleep. And in the early hours of morning, we set out for our areas where we would wait for our trophies to emerge. As I sat alone, I heard my name being called by my grandfather. I'm freaked out totally because he had died 2 years earlier. I'm getting goosebumps now just relaying this to you. I turned around just in time to see a dark figure looking at me. Now I believe in spirits and ghosts. I've read the Bible a couple of times, and I will tell you that I most above all believe in God. And this person/figure, whatever, walked toward me and stood within 30 to 40 feet from me. It looked like a man. hair all over, but a man. It had to have been at least 7 feet tall. I don't know why, but I talked to it and I asked if it called my name. No response. So I asked if it was going to hurt me. It shook its head no. Whoa. It stared at me for another 20 to 30 seconds and just casually walked away. I'm not a liar. Maybe an asshole sometimes, but I'm not a liar. But I felt my grandfather's presence at that time. I never told any of my cousins or my uncle about it because I didn't want them to laugh. And it was a special moment for me, spiritually speaking. Thank you for helping me open up about this. I really think these beings are protectors of our forests. Maybe sent from God. I don't know for sure, but that's what I feel. Anyway, thanks for listening, and you can tell this story if you want. Just leave out my name. Thanks. Okay, man, I gotcha. What a crazy experience, huh? What a crazy frickin' experience. Do I believe you? Absolutely. I absolutely believe you. Do I think your grandfather's voice came from that being? I don't know, man. Haven't a frickin' clue. It's a mystery. I don't know. I really don't know. I kind of half doubt it. Maybe. Was your grandfather there? For sure. Without a doubt. Whoa. You just found a sweet spot in that frickin' bone there, buddy? And there you go. Share it. Appreciate that. And if anybody has had something similar go down, let's hear about it. Share it with us, all right? If anybody has something similar to that and they think that maybe that came from that being, let us know. But how's that for shaking its head no when having clear English spoke to it? That monkey, that gorilla, that relic hominid being, right? But did it have a mid-tarsal break? You know, that's the most important point when you talk about it. Did it have the mid-tarsal break? How about some dormal ridges? Sorry, moving along. Subject. No story here, Steve. This is for you. Oh, all right. This is for you unless you decide to share. All right, well, here we go. I got nothing to hide. And I don't decide what you guys don't get to hear, right? Unless it's from, some kind of evil email. Hello, Steve. My name is David Webster. I do not have any Sabe or other experiences to relate, but rather some thoughts I feel inclined to share, prompted by your comments and your own questioning of reality, etc. All right. So this is for you, unless you decide to share. We're all here together, man. It may seem a long read, but I'll endeavor to hold back and truly hope my thoughts leave you thinking, as you've done with me. Before getting into it, I grew up in Sydney, Australia. Our bush is nothing like yours, so I get the great pleasure out of seeing the scenery in your videos and enjoying your music. Your hunting life is so different to mine, and I admire and respect you. Right on, man. I appreciate that. There are many thoughts and concepts that my mind throws up, especially when listening to your own comments about the state of the world. So what follows are various scattered notions, which I believe are all connected, and I trust they will provide something of a different way of seeing things. You frequently talk of the evil sons of bitches that have been ruling over the planet and directing our lives to a large extent. And I have heard you talk of your personal journey and the, quote, stepfather type character you endured and his ways. So yes, there is evil. However, it is not as simple as taking out all those perpetrating it and then we'll all be fine. A concept I have struggled to understand and still wrestle with, despite years of working at resolving my own patterns of behavior, etc., is the notion that we are all one, that everything in the universe is connected, that each of us is a small individualized part of the overall collective soul or spirit. By extension, if we are all connected, that each of us is in our own way somehow contributing to the whole and therefore what occurs in the world. We may appear, act, and feel separate, isolated, alone, and in many respects we are. Yet by some means we are all bound. I recognize that many people would not accept this. My perspective largely stems from what I have learned from my wife, who is very grounded and aware, and from my practice. For the past 22 years or so, I have studied and worked at a form of natural therapy using muscle testing, kinesiology techniques, and energetic healing, predominantly assisting people to resolve the subconscious programming and attachment to their life experiences, which impacts their well-being, especially mentally and emotionally. Man, oh man, how many out of 10 people have fit that one? 9.999. I mention this because the majority of this work has been indirect, over the telephone, via Zoom, and often without the awareness of the person involved knowledge. Such work was either requested by a family member or gifted to another, and it only proceeded if I had permission from the universe that it was appropriate for the person involved and for their highest good. As an example, a mother commissioning healing for a child or sibling, etc. How is this possible? Energy and our connectedness. On another tangent, if we have a soul, then surely we have a soul purpose. For example, we are here to learn, thus resolve stuff, perhaps to raise our awareness and in turn lift the frequency we vibrate at. For those who argue we have no soul or purpose, then there would be no rhyme or reason to life or the universe and everything in it, including our own unique experiences. Everything would be random, and we would trust nothing and likely learn very little. Back to having a soul purpose or a life mission. We may or may not know why we are here, but that is for each of us to determine or not. If I may, can I offer some thoughts on yourself? Let her rip. I've only listened to you and seen your videos over a few months. Yet through these, I, and no doubt others, have gained some insight into who you are. Your reference to your early life suggests that you had experiences that left you unable to trust or rely on others, especially adults. And as a result, it seems you became fiercely independent at an early age. Hit the nail on the head. And just as we have fear-based experiences to teach us courage, I venture to suggest the lack of trust and lack of respect you witnessed and received were the catalyst for you becoming self-reliant, trusting your own judgment, and growing your own self-respect. It seems clear that via your YouTube channels, you've become a pillar of trust for a great many, who turn to you to share their experiences and their secrets, etc. They, in their masses, trust you. In fact, I just realized that from what little I have heard of your story, would-be hunters have been putting their trust in you for decades. What I'm saying is your inability to trust others in your younger years has transformed into hundreds of thousands of people being able to trust you. You raised your vibration, and without knowing it, you're lifting others. Because to be able to trust you and voice their fears is a huge step in them rising above said fears. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Back to the evildoers. I do not condone evil in any form, but this raises the question of their souls and their roles they came into play. Okay, some may not have a soul. Everything in the universe has an opposite and equal energy. In other words, yin and yang, yin and yang, light and dark, day and night, female and male, cold and heat, plus victim and perpetrator. I cannot explain this adequately, nor is anything evil justifiable. However, there is a deep message in the way life works that is hard to ignore. It is this: if you, I, or anyone experiences a repeating pattern, whatever it is, we continue to point the finger at the other person. Event or circumstance, we are not learning from the experience but remain victim to it. We are the common denominator every time. Agreed. In other words, when we recognize there is something deeper going on, in the process of transforming the pain of our experiences, we gather wisdom, humility, and grace. We are no longer being controlled by the old pattern. So, in an ideal world, we recognize there is something in the messages we receive from life experience that acts as a catalyst for us to change some aspect of our own nature, attitude, personality, our identity, and thus our behavior. As a result, we start attracting different experiences. In this way, we transform a challenging experience into some empowering awareness. You could say something sinister ultimately becomes a blessing in disguise, and we grow in confidence, self-respect, inner strength, and self-acceptance. Thus, we deepen our relationship with ourselves, or go the other way. Not everyone will see life this way, especially those suffering trauma. However, the people who remain victim to their story will likely remain stuck, unable to see other possibilities, unable to heal, and continue living, being controlled by their past. Agreed. All around us. But you may be thinking that evildoers need to face justice. I agree, and they should. However, we the people and our ancestors were complacent in enabling the evil that has directed humanity, it seems, for hundreds, if not thousands of years to thrive. And we were like sheep. It may not have been evident to our ancestors, but over the past few years, it is in our faces, for those who can see clearly. Yes, the likes of Gates, Zuckerberg, and Trudeau, the FDA, CIA, and the New World Order, the United Nations, various religions and cult leaders, monarchy, banking family members, and others deserve to be brought to justice for their crimes against humanity. Yes, they do. Religion alone has served the dark side well in controlling, manipulating, and diminishing our personal sovereignty. Yes, it has. The problem is, we have, through our collective energy, remained blissfully ignorant to a large extent, and like slaves, we have not raised our awareness, let alone our voices or arms. Given, as I've suggested, that we're all connected, we have collectively allowed evil to exist throughout the centuries. Two simple examples of this over the past few decades, excuse me, you guys, are Hollywood and Disneyland. Man, honest reaction when I hear those two names, I get a gross feeling in my gut. And no, I've never been to Disneyland. I don't need to go there. Yeah, two, the nastiest. Okay, sorry. I grew up, as many did, with a new device called a television. And the family loved the entertainment provided. We were ignorant of what is now becoming widely recognized as an evil means of dumbing down the population, slowly, subliminally getting us to watch and follow, to numb our emotions to real suffering, to be conditioned to agendas and false realities. Right? You said in one of your recent videos that there is no shift in humanity, that in the real world, in nature, nothing's changed. And I suggest there has been a significant shift in humanity's awareness and perspective of what is really going on, largely in part due to YouTube, Rumble, etc., and the truthers, such as yourself, David Nino, and many others. My faith is that this shift will, over time, create the changes we need to see in communities, ultimately impacting government, schools, our health systems, etc., to bring common sense, fairness, equality, and respect back into our community, and in turn our nations. Even some of the normies are waking up, including some who wore their masks and took the jabs, are questioning their choices, spreading memes that challenge the woke bullshit, and are speaking up more. Man, I hope that gains speed with that crew. The transition to greater self-reliance and sovereignty will take time, but for me it is happening, even if slowly. In this regard, our modern technology is for once serving humanity well, as we get to connect, share and learn more than we ever could have previously from any other source. It is us, the average man, woman, and child, who will individually and collectively reshape the fabric of our communities, and I trust living more in keeping with nature, And this is magnificent, and this magnificent planet we call home. By now, I may be sending you to sleep, and I've lost my thread. Suffice to say, whilst I suspect nature, as you see it and live with it daily, reminds me largely unaltered, except for mankind's interventions. We humans are changing. Not all of us, but enough to give us hope for the future. With people like yourself speaking out and giving others a voice. Love and respect and blessings to you and Sarah David. David, appreciate that email, my man. You're lucky. You know, a lot of us, I think, are very fortunate that we can actually free up our minds long enough and put that kind of time into what you just wrote. Not the time it takes to write an email, I'm saying, but just the time it takes to be aware and learn. We are very, very fortunate, right? And the evildoers. You know, one thing for me about the evildoers in life is how, what irks me, obviously, you guys haven't figured it out, when the evildoers, when an evildoer makes a choice which absolutely blocks an innocent human being over there from going in a certain direction, a good direction in life. They take that away from them. And that ultimately prevents that person over there from even knowing about what you're talking about. Raising your vibration, learning, becoming aware. But they can't even, the evildoers take that human being, their mind, their soul, so far away from what you just wrote about. It's sickening. It's tragic. On a large scale, that's what the evildoers have done to societies. More than average, right? They have taken away, absolutely taken away any chance of becoming aware, learning, and getting better, raising your vibration from so many human beings, so many souls and minds, right? It's brutal. You know what I mean? What evildoers do. I mean, you imagine being somebody who just wants all the good, all the kindness, all the health, all the love, minding your own business, focusing on the good, helping people. Boom! A bomb drops right on your frickin' house and annihilates you and your family. Just like that. Gone, done. You're just sitting there doing shit and a bomb came and blew up your place. Because an evildoer made that decision. Nothing you can do about it. Do not pass go. Evildoers have taken away the opportunity to be prosperous. You know, I'm looking at some of these people that we're feeding recently. They don't have that time to even entertain the possibility of raising their vibration, a lot of them, because their lives are so effed up from the choices of evildoers. Now they're just panicking, struggling just to stay sane in a way and scrape up some crumbs from the side of the road to feed their kids. Those souls don't have time. They're not fortunate enough to be able to relax, think clearly, take that time to learn from each other and spend time on here, on there, contacting people from other countries like we're doing here today, and being able to prosper and change and look at the good and carry on. Sometimes I don't make sense when I'm battling, right? My brain's trying to mesh up with my lips on the camera without being rehearsed, right? And that's where I come in a way. Maybe I've said it, maybe it's wrong, maybe it's not. But experiencing life being, like 1 step forward, 10 back in my life. The wrongdoers, the dark sons of bitches that came into my life throughout my lifetime, and they made me go backwards 10 steps. And when me, like all of you, are just trying to go ahead by 1 step at a time, and these dark sons of bitches and decisions they make enabled you to make wrong decisions, enabled you to lose so much quality time of life because of what evil people decided. And if they hadn't, then I and a lot of you could have went way up there. Way up. Way earlier in life. Wouldn't that have been sweet? Wouldn't that be sweet if all of society would be able to just go up there, right on the word go. Their lives just go up there. Keep going. All good. Learning, helping, getting better. And then some evil sons of bitches come and take that choice, that opportunity away. And after experiencing loss of life and loss of time due to dark sons of bitches, what I'm getting at, and then I recognize them later in life, like you say, once I become fiercely independent, I've learned, obviously become a natural protector, and I see the potential of life being taken from innocent people from that mother effer right there. Whether it be somebody in this department when this topic that was dominated here, right? As an easy example, I see that absolute piece of shit over there, and I know for a fact he or they went out of their way to destroy the lives of innocent people, including women, who were delivering with courage truth to all you. They didn't want that truth delivered to you. They went out of their way to annihilate somebody's life. Me? Now that I am independent, fiercely, strong, smart, not scared of shit, I want to go over there and kick their frickin' ass. Obviously, I'm getting fired up just using an example again, right? I think there should be the people who are the people the society elects to be in that position to work for them. I believe those people should be of the similar mindset to see, recognize, and eliminate those bad soul sons of bitches so that they can't make that choice to steal quality of life, opportunity to learn from innocent people. You know what I mean? Otherwise, how are we going to stop them? How do we stop them? Oh, well, just pray and read the Bible. It's all there. I get it. That doesn't stop them. That doesn't stop those evil sons of bitches. Right? It doesn't. And the longer we sit on our ass and do nothing, the quality of life gets worse and worse and worse, and more people's homes get bombed. More children don't get food. Right? I could obviously go on and on and on. It just goes out and fans out like a spider web, right? Anyway, I appreciate that email big time. You're very fortunate. You know, there's a lot of people that are fortunate to be able to learn like you have. Right? Be able to become aware and learn and raise your vibration and focus on what's good and learn how to heal and do a lot of good things. But there's so many people that are never even going to get that opportunity to be able to be clear of mind, comfortable, and relaxed and safe, fed, bills are paid, got a roof over your house, and nobody's going to blow up your frickin' apartment building tomorrow. You know? I guess this all comes from everything that I've been watching, going around the globe, and giving a shit. Like I said before, I've said it many times, what would it be like to just not give a shit? Huh? To be a window licker. It must be comforting in a way, just to be a window licker, right? Go through life seeing some prick down the road beating the shit out of somebody. Huh, crazy. You could go watch some Disney shows, right? You're going to tune into the frickin' Oscars, right? Absolute waste of time. Fantasy, dog shit, manipulation. I'm babbling. I'm really rambling. Anyway. Yeah, I've learned a lot. I've come a long way. I've come a long way just the last few years after bringing all of us together into my life. I have come a long way in learning. I think I've come a long way in raising my vibration. When I first came and spoke publicly here, I knew it would be a fight, and I came on here ready to go. I was ready to go and fight in my backyard, on the street, anywhere you want to meet me. I was ready to go. When I first spoke public about knowing about what's going on for real. But I guess that's just the way it had to go, right? Obviously it's going to take somebody to come out ready to fight physically, verbally, whatever. There'll be a private jet flying overhead, and I don't know why. There's always a private jet or two that come and land on this shitty remote strip out back in the forest. One day, I swear, I'm going to go sit there in the woods, and I'm going to wait, and I'm going to see what it's all about, who it is, and where they're going, what they're doing, because this really doesn't fit for where I live. Anyway. Yeah, I obviously I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I've made every decision with my gut. I do what my gut tells me to do. My gut told me to speak publicly here. Let you all know that everything you've been getting delivered to you is an absolute lies and bullshit. Because I knew for a long time, casually observing this one topic, cruising along through the internet, and easily, quickly recognizing evildoers when it comes to this topic of what's going on in the woods and how they've been manipulating society for a long time, being lens whores and attacking anybody who opposes them. And I'm like, those are my kind of dirtbags. I love those kind of dirtbags. After getting arrested for how should we say, tuning up my mom's husband. Man, oh man, after that, I went pretty dark for a while. Running with the dogs, I call it. You're running with the dogs, right? Drinking, going to bars, hanging out with people that probably aren't going to help you in any way in your future. But no guidance, no one. And I remember one time, I think I was in 15 fist fights in like a month and a half or something. Not proud to say that, but I was looking for that bully. I was looking for that piece of shit. I was hunting the monster. I was hunting the monster nonstop. Never started a fight in my life. Never went and hurt anybody. I've never intentionally hurt an innocent person ever in my life. If I ever had any kind of altercation physical back in the day, and I'd still do it today in a heartbeat, but it was always, I always fought with bad people. Nobody else. So yeah, it sent me down a dark path, looking for that monster, to kill the monster. And I've always had that in me all my life, is to recognize and see the monster and kill it. What am I getting at? I hope I'm making sense, but I still have it in me, and that's why I guess I'm explaining how I came out in the beginning ready to fight, and I did have to fight. I had to fight like a son of a bitch when I first come out publicly. All eyes on me went boom. I don't know how it happened. I just came out and said, yeah, I seen it, and you can kiss my ass if you don't believe me. I don't give a flying shit what you think. Remember those days? Holy shit, did I ever trigger people. Next thing you know, the world pounced on my channel with me. Everybody, all the prominent names wanted me on their team. I didn't reply to one of them. And then you could see them one at a time as they realized, now, you don't count. My attitude to them, no, you don't count. Get out of my way. And then they went to attacking me instantly, without ever speaking to me ever before, went to instantly attacking me and trying to shred my character and shred me and block me and prevent me, but all in cowardly ways. Nobody ever came and said, hey, I'll meet you over here, mother effer, and I'd be like, fucking let's get it on. None of them, not one. Probably one person threatened he was going to come and tune me in when I went to meet Dave P at that convention. Dave told me, I'm like, bring it on, bitches. I'll be there. In a foreign country, by myself. Let's get it on, right? Not scared of shit, but I'm just explaining in the early stages. And obviously, that confirms for me that in society, we do need those people. We do need those people to fight the dark sons of bitches who intentionally take away the opportunity for all of you to learn truth. To learn. And learn like this man's learned. This guy's really climbing. This guy's skyrocketing in his journey, right? Because he's very fortunate to be able to, because nobody's stopping him. Nobody's misleading him, right? I'm rambling and babbling. I'm probably not making any sense. You know, we need more people to fight the bad. Stand up and donate their time to go fight the sons of bitches so that the majority of the good people have a chance to go like that. Because if we don't fight back, nobody's going to get to. Less and less people are going to have that opportunity to go that way in life. Right? Anyway, I'm babbling. I gotta go. I have to go. What are we gonna do? I was gonna show you guys something, because I don't even know. But about the membership part of this channel, let's have a look. So what do I do here? I plug this sucker in here. which should light up that screen, right? I think it's going to. Because I don't know where the how can I get a phone call from some weird place in the States? I don't get it. I don't get answered. Now, alright, there's the editing part of yesterday's video or whatever. So now we're going to go on to YouTube, right? YouTube. Now I'll make it full screen. Now what? Do I go check my channel out? View your channel. Alright? Viewing my channel. What I'm trying to do, because I've explained to everybody that we take the $3 or what, I don't even know what it is, $3 or $4 or something if you join the membership for the channel. And that's
what solidified the existence of these things for
the lip.
me.
Speak of the devil. When I first come out.
Years later, I was 20.
Alright, so you go onto my channel, look at my channel, and then you got this menu up here. Home, videos, shorts, live, playlist, community. Membership. What do I do here? I guess these are videos in the membership department. Membership for 0 days. I don't know what that means. Show perks info. Badges. Members only live chats. Exclusive videos, photo status, blah, blah, blah. Alright, so anyway, I guess this is how, I don't know where, I mean, I don't have the opportunity to join my own membership, do I? Manage memberships. Alright, so anyways, there you go, you guys. If you have, if you do, if you want to. Because I think a lot of people have got a few emails saying, how do you sign up for the membership? I don't know. What a dumbass reply, right? But then again, I'm not your typical YouTuber. Because usually I think most people with the big channels, they start off as saying, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe to my channel. And join the membership. They just push it. I don't push shit. I think I've gone the opposite. I'm like, I don't give a shit if you subscribe or not. You want to learn and get better? The door's wide open. Come on in. If you don't, I'm not a good promoter, am I? Anyways, there you go. I just did this to show you where the membership thing is. And I guess if you clicked it, then you get to join. And then when you do that, your few bucks will go to feeding these little rugrats. Right? There you go. Now, it's enough babbling. What day is it? Don't know. I think it's Thursday. So now we got to go out, box up more food. Sarah contacts the moms, make sure they're there, gives the address, and off we go. And I'm going again. I'm going to go deliver again. And then I think we'll get that done today. Oh, then we have to drive all the way to the frickin' other city again to pick up her new hats, the toques. And she's got a new logo on there for this channel. I'm not saying nothing. So I might be able to show that to everybody tonight or tomorrow morning, maybe. That's exciting for her. She's all stoked. Oops. Ran out of time. The card got full. Oh, I gotta go. Okay, the big boss has texted me. What was I even saying? Damn it. Oh. We're picking up that stuff today. And then I think tomorrow, I'm going to the mountains. By myself, heading to the mountains. And last chance to get one more deer for the freezer for us to eat. And I'll probably take you guys on that adventure too. I'll be by myself. It's going to be cold and snotty and shitty. But that's my reward. Not if you notice yet, but I'll work. And then one of my rewards, I make sure... That's kind of rude. Just give me a second. I make sure I do what I love to do. You guys notice that yet? I work. I learn, I get better. My reward, I go do what I love to do. I'm going hunting tomorrow. See you later.